Deep within the quiet forests of history, the secrets of herbal remedies have always whispered to us. Uncovering these ancient green truths offers a comforting journey into the natural world's profound wisdom. It begins with the realization that fossil records suggest humans have utilized plants for healing for at least 60,000 years. As we gently drift through these soothing discoveries, you might take a moment to click subscribe, supporting our shared quest for peaceful knowledge. This ancient connection was famously illuminated when archaeologists discovered the Shanidar Cave in Iraq, where a Neanderthal burial site contained high concentrations of medicinal flower pollen, including yarrow and mallow. Before we ever ground a single root or dried a leaf, the earth itself was acting as a pharmacy, but we were not the first patients to walk its aisles. Long before human history began, animals practiced what scientists now call zoopharmacognosy, the instinctual selection of plant matter for self-medication. Chimpanzees, our close biological cousins, have been observed carefully selecting specific bitter leaves, like Veronia, to clear their systems of parasites, despite the plant offering no nutritional value. Even the North American brown bear is known to chew osha root into a thick paste, rubbing it into its fur to repel biting insects and soothe skin infections. High in the canopy, birds engage in a behavior known as anting, where they rub ants on their feathers because the formic acid released acts as a powerful fungicide and miticide. It is widely believed that early human healers learned their craft simply by watching these animals, noticing which roots a wounded boar might dig for, or which bark a sick deer would strip from a tree to ease its pain. This biomimicry suggests that our medical heritage is not an invention, but an inheritance from the wild itself. As humanity moved from the wild forests to the first great cities rising between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, this instinctive knowledge needed a container more permanent than memory. In the dusty heat of ancient Sumer, over 5,000 years ago, scribes pressed reeds into wet clay to create what we now recognize as the world's first medical records. These cuneiform tablets reveal that the Sumerians were already masters of a complex botanical pharmacy. They carefully etched detailed recipes calling for the juice of the poppy plant, gathered in the misty early mornings, understanding its potent ability to silence pain and induce sleep long before modern chemistry explained the mechanics of opiates. They also meticulously cataloged myrrh, a resin that would travel the trade routes for millennia, prized not just for its deep, earthy scent, but for its antiseptic qualities in treating open wounds. It is fascinating to realize that when you use a modern herbal salve, you are often echoing a practice cemented in clay 5,000 years ago. Following the trade winds west to the fertile banks of the Nile, the obsession with documenting herbal wisdom grew even more intense. The ancient Egyptians left us the Ebers Papyrus, a massive singular scroll stretching over 65 feet in length. If you were to unroll it today, you would find over 700 distinct remedies and 800 magical formulas, a testament to a time when medicine and magic were considered two strands of the same rope. This papyrus details the use of aloe vera for soothing burns, a remedy that has survived virtually unchanged to sit on our bathroom counters today. It also describes using willow bark to treat inflammation, unknowingly harnessing the chemical precursor to aspirin thousands of years before the pill was ever invented. But herbal medicine in Egypt was not strictly for the elite or the priesthood. It was the fuel of the empire. The construction of the Great Pyramids required a workforce of thousands, and sustaining their strength was a matter of national security. Records indicate that vast quantities of garlic and onions were not merely flavorings for their meals, but essential dietary supplements provided by the state. These pungent bulbs were revered for their ability to boost endurance and ward off disease in the cramped, sweaty conditions of the work camps. In fact, historians note that one of the first recorded labor strikes in history occurred not over wages of gold, but because the daily ration of garlic had been withheld. So vital was this root to the workers' sense of well-being. This practical application extended to the afterlife as well, where the preservation of the body required the most potent antimicrobials nature could offer. Frankincense, a resin harvested from the gnarled boswellia tree, was worth its weight in gold, quite literally. While we often associate it with temple incense and religious ceremony, the Egyptians understood that its smoke was a powerful fumigant, cleansing the air of pests and bacteria. They utilized these aromatics in the mummification process, stuffing the body cavity with myrrh, cassia, and other spices to halt decay, suggesting that their spiritual rituals were grounded in a deep empirical understanding of how plants could arrest the natural processes of biology. While the Egyptians sought to preserve the vessel of the body against time, the ancient healers of China looked inward, seeking to harmonize the living energy flow, or qi, that animated it. In this profound and ancient tradition, the botanical world was not seen merely as a collection of chemical compounds, but as a mirror to the internal landscape of the human body, governed by the opposing yet complementary forces of yin and yang. A fever, for instance, was viewed as an excess of fire, or yang, requiring herbs with a cooling yin energy, such as the roots of the animarina or the leaves of bamboo, to restore equilibrium. Conversely, a constitution damped with cold required the warming, stimulating fire of ginger or cinnamon to reignite the body's internal hearth. This philosophy transformed the forest into a grand apothecary of energetic signatures, where the texture, taste, and temperature of a plant dictated its ability to heal. This systematic categorization of nature is credited to the legendary figure Shen Nong, known as the Divine Farmer, who is said to have lived around 5,000 years ago. Myth describes him as possessing a transparent abdomen, allowing him to visually observe the effects of various plants on his internal organs as he consumed them. He is believed to have tasted hundreds of herbs, often poisoning himself 70 times in a day, only to cure himself with a tea from the antidote plant, which we now know as tea. His accumulated knowledge was compiled into the Shen Nong Ben Cao Jing, the Divine Farmer's Herb Root Classic, the oldest surviving Chinese materia medica. It classified 365 herbs into 3 distinct categories: the superior herbs, which promoted longevity and could be taken daily, the medium herbs, which treated illness but required care, and the inferior herbs, which were toxic and used only for specific acute conditions. Among the superior herbs, none is more revered than ginseng, often called the king of herbs, or ren shen, meaning man root, due to its forked shape resembling a human figure. For millennia, wild ginseng found in the remote mountains of Manchuria was considered a supreme tonic for the primal qi, the vital energy that sustains life. It was so highly valued that wars were fought over control of the ginseng fields, and wild roots of great age were worth more than their weight in gold. Unlike a simple stimulant that forces energy from the body, ginseng was understood to be an adaptogen, a substance that helps the body adapt to stress and rebuilds the deep reserves of vitality that are depleted by age and exertion. Yet perhaps the most sophisticated aspect of this tradition is that herbs are rarely used in isolation. While Western herbalism often focused on simples or single herb remedies, traditional Chinese medicine developed the art of complex formulation, resembling a well-governed kingdom. A typical prescription follows a strict hierarchy known as Jun Chen Zua Shi, or emperor, minister, assistant, and envoy. The emperor herb targets the main cause of the disease. The minister herb strengthens the emperor's effect, The assistant herb reduces side effects or treats accompanying symptoms, and the envoy herb guides the medicine to the specific meridian or organ affected. This approach ensures that the remedy creates a synergistic effect, balancing potency with safety, much like a symphony where individual notes combine to form a harmonious whole. Traveling southwest across the Himalayas, we find another ancient wisdom where the harmony of the body is viewed not through a hierarchy of officials, but through the lens of the 5 fundamental elements that make up the universe itself. This is Ayurveda, the science of life, a system that has flourished in India for over 5,000 years and posits that the macrocosm of the world exists within the microcosm of the human body. In this philosophy, plants are not merely chemical factories, but energetic allies used to balance the 3 doshas or biological energies that govern our physical and mental processes. These forces are Vata, composed of air and ether, Pitta, born of fire and water, and Kapha, formed from earth and water. The art of the Ayurvedic herbalist lies in matching the qualities of the herb to the needs of the dosha. For a person with a Vata constitution, who tends to be cold, dry, and light like the autumn wind, the healer prescribes warming, grounding, and oily herbs such as ashwagandha to provide stability. Conversely, for the fiery Pitta type, who may suffer from overheating and inflammation, cooling and soothing botanicals like coriander or sandalwood are used to pacify the internal heat. The heavy, stable nature of Kapha requires stimulating and drying herbs such as black pepper or ginger to invigorate the system and clear stagnation. It is a logic of opposites where the medicine provides the elemental quality that the body currently lacks. Central to this golden tradition is a rhizome that has stained the fingers and history of India for millennia. Turmeric, known scientifically as curcuma longa, is perhaps the most revered herb in the Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia. Often called the golden goddess, its vibrant yellow flesh contains curcumin, a compound with profound anti-inflammatory abilities that modern science is still working to fully understand. Beyond its medical use in treating everything from joint pain to digestive woes, turmeric holds a sacred place in cultural rituals. In the haldi ceremony, a paste of turmeric, oil, and water is applied to the bride and groom before marriage to bless them with glowing skin and ward off evil spirits, showcasing how the line between food, medicine, and the sacred is beautifully blurred in this tradition. Alongside the golden root grows the queen of herbs known as tulsi, or holy basil. This is not the sweet basil found in Italian kitchens, but a more pungent, peppery cousin that is worshipped as a living goddess. In many traditional Indian homes, a tulsi plant grows in the central courtyard, serving as a spiritual protector and a natural pharmacy. It is considered an adaptogen, a unique class of herbs that help the body adapt to stress and restore physiological balance. Chewing a few fresh leaves or drinking tulsi tea is a daily ritual for millions, believed to open the heart and mind while bestowing clarity and longevity. Yet this gentle knowledge of roots and leaves also laid the foundation for surprisingly advanced medical interventions. The ancient text known as the Sushruta Samhita, written by the physician Sushruta, describes complex surgical procedures, including the reconstruction of the nose, arguably the world's first rhinoplasty. To perform such delicate work centuries before the invention of modern anesthetics, these early surgeons relied heavily on potent herbal concoctions. They utilized wine infused with powerful sedatives like henbane and cannabis to induce a state of controlled intoxication, dulling the patient's pain and allowing the surgeon to work with steady hands, proving that the floral kingdom held the keys to both gentle healing and radical repair. It was within this intellectual climate that the man often called the father of medicine, Hippocrates, began to reshape the very foundation of how humanity understood illness. Before his time, sickness was frequently viewed as a punishment from the gods, a spiritual affliction requiring sacrifice rather than science. Hippocrates, however, looked to the earth, separating the physical body from the divine and insisting that disease had natural causes which required natural solutions. He introduced a rational framework centered on the theory of the four humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. In this view, health was a state of perfect balance among these internal fluids, while disease arose from their discord. To restore harmony, Greek physicians did not simply guess, they began to categorize every plant, root, and flower by its elemental nature, assigning them qualities of heat, cold, dryness, and moisture. A fever, being hot and dry, was treated with herbs classified as cool and moist, such as cucumber or violet, creating a logical system of botanical opposites that would dominate Western medicine for centuries. As the cultural influence of Greece bled into the rising might of Rome, this knowledge was not only preserved but vastly expanded by a traveling physician named Pedanius Dioscorides. Marching alongside Roman legions as a surgeon, he had the unique opportunity to collect specimens from across the known world, documenting their properties with meticulous care. His resulting masterpiece, De Materia Medica, was more than just a book, it was the ultimate pharmacological encyclopedia of antiquity. It detailed over 600 plants and roughly 1,000 distinct remedies, serving as the primary medical textbook for the next 1,500 years. No other scientific text has held such absolute authority for so long, guiding generations of healers through the Dark Ages and well into the Renaissance, with its descriptions of mint for digestion and opium for pain becoming standard practice across the empire. Among the many treasures documented in these ancient texts was the humble bark of the white willow tree. Greek physicians noted that chewing this bitter bark or brewing it into a tea provided remarkable relief for aches, fevers, and inflammation. They could not have known the molecular chemistry at work, but they had effectively discovered the natural precursor to aspirin. The bark contains salicin, a compound that the human body converts into salicylic acid, reducing inflammation and quieting pain long before modern laboratories existed to synthesize it. This era marked a pivotal moment where the wild chaos of nature was tamed by the order of the human mind, creating a legacy of herbal wisdom so robust that we still feel its echoes in our medicine cabinets today, proving that the roots of modern pharmacology reach deep into the soil of the ancient world. As the dust of the ancient empires settled, the high stone walls of European monasteries became the guardians of this green wisdom, preserving the delicate art of healing within their cloistered sanctuaries. In these quiet refuges, the layout of the garden was never accidental. It was a deliberate reflection of spiritual order imposed upon the wild earth. This specific plot was known as the Physic Garden, or Herbularis, often situated near the infirmary to ensure that fresh medicine was always within reach of the ailing. If you were to walk through one of these medieval enclosures, you would find yourself wandering among raised rectangular beds, often arranged in groups of 4 to represent the 4 elements or the 4 Gospels, separated by neat gravel pathways that encouraged slow, meditative walking. Here, the air would be thick with the complex, savory aromas of medicinal staples. You would see sage, known in Latin as salvia, meaning to save, growing in robust, velvety clumps, prized for its ability to cure everything from colds to snake bites. Beside it might be the cheerful yellow heads of elecampane, used for chest ailments, and the tall, purple spikes of betony, a plant so highly regarded that an old Italian proverb advised people to sell their coat and buy betony. The monks who tended these beds were the sole keepers of medical knowledge during the so-called Dark Ages, spending their days oscillating between the rhythm of prayer in the chapel and the rhythm of the seasons in the soil. They not only grew the herbs, but also meticulously copied the ancient texts of Dioscorides and Galen in their scriptoria, ensuring that the thread of botanical knowledge remained unbroken. There is something profoundly settling about the idea of these quiet, walled gardens, filled with fragrances that have soothed humans for centuries. I wonder if there is a particular botanical scent that brings you a sense of immediate comfort, perhaps the dusty warmth of dried lavender or the fresh zest of lemon balm. Feel free to share your favorite calming aroma or a garden memory in the comments. As these monastic scholars observed their plants, they began to develop a fascinating philosophy known as the doctrine of signatures. Popularized later by the alchemist Paracelsus, this theory proposed that the natural beside it might be the cheerful yellow heads of elecampane, used for chest ailments, and the tall purple spikes of betony, a plant so highly regarded that an old Italian proverb advised people to sell their coat and buy betony. The monks who tended these beds were the sole keepers of medical knowledge during the so-called Dark Ages, spending their days oscillating between the rhythm of prayer in the chapel and the rhythm of the seasons in the soil. They not only grew the herbs, but also meticulously copied the ancient texts of Dioscorides and Galen in their scriptoria, ensuring that the thread of botanical knowledge remained unbroken. There is something profoundly settling about the idea of these quiet, walled gardens, filled with fragrances that have soothed humans for centuries. I wonder if there is a particular botanical scent that brings you a sense of immediate comfort, perhaps the dusty warmth of dried lavender or the fresh zest of lemon balm. Feel free to share your favorite calming aroma or a garden memory in the comments. As these monastic scholars observed their plants, they began to develop a fascinating philosophy known as the doctrine of signatures. Popularized later by the alchemist Paracelsus, this theory proposed that the natural world was a book written by the Creator, where every plant bore a physical mark, a signature, revealing its medicinal use. It was believed that like cures like, meaning the appearance of a plant offered a clue to the part of the body it would heal. Consider the walnut, for instance. When removed from its green husk, the hard shell resembles a human skull, and the nut inside, with its two distinct hemispheres and wrinkled surface, looks uncannily like the human brain. Under the doctrine of signatures, this resemblance was proof that walnuts were intended to treat headaches and mental ailments, a poetic logic that guided herbalists for generations. Similarly, the spotted leaves of lungwort were thought to resemble diseased lungs, leading to its use in treating respiratory conditions, while the tiny flower known as eyebright, with its dark center resembling a pupil, became the primary remedy for infections of the eye. It was a worldview where nothing was random, and every leaf and root held a coded message waiting to be read by the observant healer. This profound attention to the natural world was nowhere more vibrant than across the vast, wind-swept landscapes of the Americas, where indigenous knowledge systems had been refining the art of herbal medicine for thousands of years. On the Great Plains of North America, the healers recognized the power of a distinct purple flower with a prickly cone-shaped center. Today, you likely know it as echinacea, a common booster for the immune system found in almost every pharmacy aisle. Yet for the Plains nations like the Lakota and the Pawnee, the purple coneflower was a versatile and potent ally used for far more than the common cold. It was often known as elk root, a name born from the astute observation that elk would actively seek out these plants and consume them to aid their own recovery. The root was mashed into poultices to draw out toxins from venomous snake bites and to treat stubborn infections that refused to heal. When chewed, the root produced a distinctive tingling, numbing sensation in the mouth, making it an effective remedy for toothaches and sore throats long before the arrival of modern anesthetics. Moving from the grassy plains to the arid, sun-baked deserts of the Southwest, we encounter the sacred tradition of white sage. For the indigenous peoples of the coastal West, such as the Chumash and Cahuilla, white sage is not merely a fragrant herb, but a sacred entity used to purify the spirit and the body. The practice of smudging or burning bundles of dried sage is often misunderstood by outsiders as purely symbolic, yet modern science has begun to catch up with this ancient wisdom. Research suggests that the smoke from burning sage actually changes the ionic composition of the air and possesses powerful antimicrobial properties, significantly reducing the level of airborne bacteria in a confined space. When a healer smudged a sick room, they were quite literally disinfecting the environment, clearing away the invisible pathogens that could linger and cause harm. The distinctive earthy scent of burning sage triggers a primal relaxation response, grounding the mind while the smoke cleanses the air, bridging the gap between physical sanitation and spiritual clarity. Farther south, deep within the mist-shrouded cloud forests of the Andes Mountains, another bark was silently waiting to change the course of human history. Its bark contained a powerful alkaloid that we now call quinine. For centuries, this bitter substance was the only effective treatment for malaria, a disease that caused shivering fevers and decimated populations worldwide. The indigenous discovery of cinchona bark allowed people to survive in tropical climates where they previously perished, a striking example of how specific botanical knowledge held by people living in harmony with the high-altitude rainforest eventually saved millions of lives across the globe. What truly unified these diverse practices, from the Canadian Shield to the Amazon basin, was a fundamental difference in how the plants themselves were viewed. In the indigenous worldview, plants were not seen as inanimate natural resources or mere chemical factories waiting to be harvested. They were regarded as relatives, elder siblings who had been on the earth longer than humans and therefore possessed greater wisdom.
A healer would never simply take a plant. They would approach it with respect, often offering tobacco or a prayer as a gesture of reciprocity, asking permission before harvesting. This ensured that the medicine was taken with a good heart, maintaining the delicate balance of the ecosystem. It was a relationship based on gratitude rather than extraction, acknowledging that the health of the human community was inextricably tied to the respect shown to the green nations that surrounded them. This reverence for the natural world was not merely spiritual, but also deeply observant, paving the way for what we now understand as the complex science of phytochemistry. When we step away from the campfire and look through the lens of a microscope, the magic does not disappear, it simply changes form, revealing a hidden universe of molecular machinery humming beneath the surface of every leaf and petal. To understand how a simple cup of tea can calm a racing heart or invite deep sleep, we must look first to the sun. Every medicinal property found in the plant kingdom begins with the capture of light. Through the silent, industrious process of photosynthesis, plants act as the world's original alchemists, weaving sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide into the sugars that fuel life. But this primary metabolism, which keeps the plant growing and breathing, is only the foundation of the story. The true chemistry of calm arises from what scientists call secondary metabolites. Because a plant is rooted in the earth, destined to live out its life in the exact spot where its seed first germinated, it cannot run from a predator, nor can it seek shelter from a storm. It cannot swat away an insect or roar at a grazing herbivore. Instead, the plant must fight its battles and communicate its needs through chemistry. It manufactures a dazzling array of complex compounds, alkaloids, terpenoids, phenols, and glycosides, designed specifically to interact with the world around it. Some of these compounds are bitter deterrents, created to make a leaf taste unappealing to a hungry caterpillar. Others are volatile oils, released into the air to signal neighboring plants of danger or to attract a specific pollinator. It is one of nature's most beautiful coincidences that these very same compounds, evolved for plant defense and communication, possess the precise molecular shape required to heal the human body. When we ingest a calming herb, we are essentially borrowing the plant's chemical armor and repurposing it for our own well-being. This works because, despite the billion years of evolution that separate humans from orchids or ferns, life on Earth shares a common chemical language. Our bodies are riddled with receptor sites, tiny locks on the surface of our cells, waiting for the right key to turn them. Plant compounds often happen to be those keys. Nowhere is this interaction more profound or more delicate than within the human nervous system. For a botanical remedy to ease anxiety or induce sleep, it must navigate the body's most rigorous security system, the blood-brain barrier. This barrier is a tightly woven mesh of cells that protects the brain from harmful toxins, allowing only the most essential nutrients and specific molecules to pass through. It is the reason why drinking water hydrates us but does not intoxicate us, while a small dose of certain plant extracts can alter our consciousness. The molecules responsible for relaxation, often small, fat-soluble compounds found in essential oils and roots, are capable of slipping through this fortress walls. Once inside the brain, they seek out the neurotransmitters that regulate our state of arousal. Many sedating herbs specifically target the receptors for GABA, a chemical messenger tasked with quieting nerve activity. When the plant molecule attaches to this receptor, it effectively turns down the volume on the brain's electrical chatter. It mimics the body's own natural signals for rest, lowering the heart rate, relaxing the tension held in the muscles, and signaling to the conscious mind that it is safe to let go. This molecular handshake between the flora of the earth and the neurons of the brain is the biological basis of serenity, and elegant as it is effective. This elegance is perhaps most striking when we consider the paradox of flavor, specifically the sensation of bitterness. In the grand evolutionary narrative, the bitter taste receptor was not designed for culinary appreciation, but as a sophisticated warning system. Most alkaloids, those potent nitrogen-containing compounds produced by plants, register as intensely bitter to the human tongue. In the wild, this flavor profile often signaled toxicity, a chemical alarm posted by the plant to ward off grazing animals and curious insects. Yet human history is defined by the bold decision to ignore this warning in search of the medicine hidden within the poison. It is a biological truth that the difference between a toxin and a cure is often merely the dosage, and our ancestors learned to harness these potent compounds by carefully navigating that fine line. When a bitter substance touches the specific receptors on the back of the tongue, it triggers a physiological cascade far more complex than simple taste. This stimulation acts as an ignition key for the body's digestive engine. The moment bitterness is detected, a signal travels along the vagus nerve, the great information highway connecting the brain to the gut, telling the stomach to prepare for work. This is the mechanism behind the long-standing cultural tradition of the aperitif, or digestive bitters.
The flavor itself causes the mouth to water and the stomach to release gastric juices, ensuring that whatever meal follows is processed efficiently, turning a sensory experience into a functional biological prep sequence. Nowhere is our relationship with bitter alkaloids more evident than in the global devotion to the coffee bean and the tea leaf. Caffeine, arguably the world's most socially accepted psychoactive herbal remedy, is an alkaloid developed by plants as a natural pesticide to paralyze small insects. For humans, however, this bitter compound acts as a precise antagonist to adenosine, the chemical that accumulates to make us feel tired. By blocking these sleep signals, we have conditioned ourselves to associate this specific bitterness not with danger, but with clarity and alertness, overriding millions of years of evolutionary programming with every morning cup. This principle extends deep into the world of healing greens, particularly the often overlooked dandelion. While frequently dismissed as a stubborn weed, the dandelion is a powerhouse of bitter compounds that specifically target the liver and gallbladder. When we consume dandelion leaves or tea made from the roasted root, the sharp flavor prompts the liver to increase bile production, which is essential for breaking down fats and clearing toxins from the blood. It serves as a gentle reminder that in the pharmacopoeia of nature, while sweet flavors often provide energy, it is the challenging, sharp, and bitter notes that frequently perform the heavy lifting of internal healing and metabolic restoration. While the tongue navigates the landscape of flavor to signal the digestive system, the healing power of herbs extends upward into the air we breathe, carried on invisible currents. This leads us into the volatile world of terpenes, the microscopic organic compounds responsible for the distinct aromatic signatures that define the plant kingdom. When you walk through a coniferous forest and breathe in that sharp, clean scent of pine, or when you peel a lemon and are greeted by a bright, uplifting zest, you are interacting directly with these tiny, active molecules. They are not merely perfumes designed to please the human senses. They are complex chemical signals that plants evolved to repel predators or attract pollinators. Yet for us, they act as intricate keys to the nervous system. What makes these aromatic compounds so uniquely potent is their direct access to the brain's interior. Unlike other sensory inputs, such as touch or sight, which must travel through various relay stations before being processed, the sense of scent travels via the olfactory nerve straight to the limbic system. This is the ancient, primitive, emotional center of the brain, the seat of memory and mood, where feelings are processed long before the conscious mind can analyze them. This biological shortcut explains why a sudden whiff of a specific herb can instantly trigger a vivid memory or a profound shift in emotional state. It creates a physiological cascade, potentially altering heart rate, breathing patterns, and stress levels within moments of inhalation, proving that the atmosphere surrounding an herb is just as medicinal as its physical fibers. Consider the chemistry of true lavender, a staple in sleep remedies for centuries. Its effectiveness relies heavily on a specific alcohol terpene known as linalool. When this compound is inhaled, studies suggest it interacts with neurotransmitters in a way similar to mild pharmaceutical sedatives, quieting the excessive electrical activity in the brain that we associate with anxiety or restlessness. It does not just mask an unpleasant environment with a floral bouquet, it fundamentally shifts the chemistry of the nervous system toward relaxation. This creates a fascinating bridge between the garden and the pillow, where the very air becomes a delivery system for tranquility, allowing the body to uncoil from the tension of the day simply by breathing. Yet these volatile oils serve purposes far beyond relaxation. They are also nature's most potent guardians against microscopic invaders. In the robust culinary herbs of the Mediterranean, such as thyme and oregano, we find intense concentrations of phenols like thymol and carvacrol. These compounds are so chemically powerful that plants produce them to create a sterilized halo around their leaves, preventing bacterial and fungal infections from taking hold in the damp earth. When humans harness these oils, particularly through steam inhalation during a respiratory illness, we are essentially borrowing the plant's own immune system. The volatile vapors coat the respiratory tract, disrupting the cell membranes of harmful bacteria while supporting the body's natural defenses, creating a hostile environment for pathogens but a healing sanctuary for the host. To access that sanctuary, however, the plant must be gathered at the precise moment its vitality is at its peak, for the potency of a leaf or root is not static, but a shifting tide that rises and falls with the rhythms of the earth. This necessity has given rise to centuries of tradition surrounding the art of harvesting, a practice often guided by the silent celestial dance of the moon. Folklore suggests that just as the moon pulls the tides of the ocean, it also exerts a subtle gravitational pull on the moisture within plants, influencing the movement of sap. During the waxing moon, as the light grows brighter in the night sky each evening, sap is believed to rise upward into the stems, leaves, and blossoms. This is traditionally considered the optimal time for gathering aerial parts, capturing the energy of the plant while it reaches for the heavens. Conversely, as the moon wanes and the light fades toward the new moon, that vital energy is thought to descend back into the earth, making the dark of the moon the preferred window for digging roots in bulbs, where the medicinal power has retreated for safekeeping in the soil. While lunar gardening relies on gravitational subtlety and ancient observation, modern botany confirms that timing is indeed critical, though it is often governed even more strictly by the sun than the moon. Plants possess their own circadian rhythms, known as diurnal cycles, meaning the chemistry of a single leaf changes hour by hour. The golden rule of the herbalist is to harvest in the mid-morning, just after the dew has evaporated but before the sun reaches its zenith. This is not merely poetic preference, but chemical prudence. Many aromatic herbs, such as peppermint, lemon balm, or lavender, hold the highest concentration of volatile oils in the cool of the morning. Once the midday heat arrives, these precious oils can evaporate into the atmosphere or be metabolized by the plant to cope with thermal stress, leaving the afternoon leaf less potent than its morning counterpart. This deep attention to the environment extends beyond timing to the very location of the plant. There is a profound distinction between farming, where crops are sown in neat, predictable rows, and wildcrafting, the ancient practice of gathering herbs from their natural wild habitats. A wild plant often faces greater struggles than its cultivated cousin, enduring drought, poor soil, competition from weeds, and insect predation. Interestingly, it is this very struggle that often forces the wild herb to produce higher concentrations of protective phytochemicals, complex compounds intended to defend the plant, which ironically makes the wild-crafted remedy significantly more potent than the carefully tended garden variety. Perhaps no herb embodies the intersection of timing, location, and folklore quite like St. John's wort. Traditionally, this star-shaped yellow flower is harvested on or near the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, when the sun is at its absolute highest power. The plant is deeply associated with light, often used to treat seasonal melancholy, and when the yellow flowers are crushed between the fingers, they bleed a deep blood-red oil. This substance, hypericin, peaks during high summer, as if the plant has physically captured the intensity of the midsummer sun to bring warmth to the coming winter months. To truly keep this solar energy intact, however, one must master the delicate art of preservation, for once a stem is severed from its roots, a countdown begins. The most common method, practiced for thousands of years in cool, shadowed attics and airy barns, is simple air drying. This is not merely about removing water, it is a gentle negotiation with chemistry. If the heat is too high, the volatile oils, those aromatic souls of the plant responsible for both scent and healing, will simply evaporate into the ether, leaving behind nothing but tasteless straw. The goal is to halt the biological clock while the plant is suspended in a state of suspended animation, preserving its color and potency. A properly dried stem should break with a crisp, audible crack rather than bending, signaling that the moisture content has dropped low enough to prevent mold, yet the process was gentle enough to retain the green vibrancy of the leaf. This simple act of filling jars with dried leaves was, for most of human history, a critical survival strategy. In eras before global shipping brought fresh produce year-round, the apothecary shelf was the only barrier between a community and the ravages of a harsh winter. A well-stocked pantry of elderberries, sage, and thyme was as valuable as a cellar full of grain, ensuring that the healing properties of summer remained accessible when the snow lay deep on the ground. While drying is an act of preservation, some traditions employ a process of transformation known as fermentation. Much like the curing of tobacco or the processing of black tea, certain medicinal herbs are deliberately bruised and allowed to oxidize before they are dried. A classic example is fireweed, a tall magenta-flowered plant that colonizes burnt forests. In Russia, this plant is traditionally rolled until the cell walls break, releasing enzymes that darken the leaves and alter their flavor profile from grassy to rich and fruity, creating a beverage known as Ivan chai. This fermentation process creates new compounds that do not exist in the fresh plant, deepening the remedy's complexity and making certain nutrients more bioavailable to the human body. It is a common misconception, however, that fresh plants are always superior to their dried counterparts. The truth is far more nuanced, depending entirely on the botanical family in question. Some herbs, like lemon balm, are notoriously fragile. Their delicate citrus-scented oils begin to degrade the moment they dry, meaning a cup of tea made from fresh leaves is vastly more potent than one made from the dried herb. Conversely, drying can concentrate potency in powerful ways.
Dried nettle, for instance, loses its stinging formic acid, making it safe to handle and rich in accessible minerals, while dried ginger is considered hotter and more physically heating than fresh ginger, which is viewed in traditional Chinese medicine as being better for dispersing surface colds.
Understanding these shifts in energy and chemistry allows the herbalist to choose the precise form of the plant that matches the need of the moment. Once the correct form of the plant is chosen, the herbalist must decide how to unlock its chemistry, a process that almost always begins with the ancient marriage of plant matter and the universal solvent known as water. This brings us to the subtle art of distinction between a simple tea, a long infusion, and a decoction. While we casually call anything brewed in hot water a tea, the technical differences dictate how effective the remedy will actually be, and the method must always match the density of the plant material. For the delicate aerial parts of a plant, the soft leaves, the fragile petals of flowers like chamomile or calendula, or aromatic mints, we use an infusion. These parts are rich in volatile oils, the aromatic compounds that carry both the plant's scent and its healing properties. If you were to boil these delicate structures, those precious oils would evaporate into the air along with the steam, leaving you with a dull, flat-tasting liquid. Instead, the proper technique is to pour hot water over them and immediately cover the vessel. This lid is crucial. It traps the rising steam, allowing the essential oils to condense on the underside of the cover and drip back into the cup, ensuring the medicine stays in the water rather than escaping into the room. However, roots, barks, dried mushrooms, and hard berries are far more stubborn. A simple steep is rarely enough to penetrate the tough, woody fibers of dense materials like astragalus root, cinnamon bark, or dried elderberries. For these, we rely on the decoction. This method involves placing the hard plant material into a pot of cold water and slowly bringing it to a simmer on the stove. By maintaining a gentle rolling boil for 20 to 40 minutes, the sustained heat and agitation break down the rigid cell walls, extracting deep, heavy constituents that a quick infusion would miss completely. Between these two methods lies the long infusion, often used for nutritive herbs like nettle or oat straw. In this practice, the herbs steep for 4 to 8 hours or even overnight, turning the water into a dark, mineral-rich broth that pulls out slow-dissolving nutrients like calcium and magnesium. Beyond the chemistry, the preparation itself acts as a calming, somatic exercise. In a world of instant gratification, making a proper herbal tea requires a deliberate pause. Standing by the stove, listening for the kettle to sing, and watching the dried leaves unfurl in the water forces the body to slow down. It is a sensory experience, the warmth of the ceramic mug against the palms, the steam softening the face, and the earthy aroma filling the room that signals the nervous system to shift into a state of rest. This is perhaps why the concept of grandma's tea is a universal archetype found in almost every culture on Earth. Whether it is fresh mint in North Africa, ginger in the Caribbean, or sage in the Mediterranean, the ritual of boiling water and steeping leaves is a global language of care, a liquid comfort that soothes the spirit just as much as it treats the body. Yet, while water is the universal solvent for gentle comforts, it lacks the strength to unlock every door within a plant's cellular architecture. Some of nature's most potent compounds, sticky resins, stubborn roots, and complex alkaloids, are hydrophobic, meaning they turn their backs on water and refuse to dissolve in a simple tea. To access these deeper, more guarded layers of the plant, the herbalist must turn to a stronger medium, one historically referred to as the spirit of wine. This is the realm of the tincture, a method that uses high-proof alcohol to pull the very life force from the plant material. When fresh herbs are submerged in this liquid, a slow alchemy takes place. Over the course of several weeks, the clear alcohol transforms, taking on the deep greens, rich browns, or vibrant reds of the botanical matter, becoming heavy with medicinal constituents. It is a process of extraction that creates a highly concentrated liquid where a single dropperful might equal the entire potency of a strong cup of tea. This efficiency made tinctures the preferred tool of the traveling apothecaries of yore. You might imagine these historical figures, their wagons laden with clinking glass vials, dispensing cordials and elixirs to villagers. It is a fascinating twist of history that many of these medicinal preparations eventually evolved into digestifs and herbal liqueurs we recognize today.
Famous spirits like chartreuse or the complex bitter amaro of Italy began their existence not as recreational drinks, but as serious stomach tonics, their recipes guarded by monks who understood that alcohol was the only way to preserve the complex interplay of 50 or more different herbs. Beyond potency, the tincture offers the gift of time. A dried herb is ephemeral. It interacts with oxygen and moisture, eventually fading into dust and losing its vitality after a year or two. A tincture, however, is a suspended moment. Because high-proof alcohol is such a powerful preservative, a bottle stored in a cool, dark cupboard can remain shelf-stable for 5, 10, or even 20 years.
It captures the specific energy of a summer harvest and holds it in suspended animation, ready to be awakened decades later during the depths of winter. Yet not every extraction relies on the distillery. There is an older, perhaps more kitchen-centric tradition involving vinegar. These preparations, known as acetracts, bridge the gap between food and pharmacy. They are the foundation of folk remedies like the famous fire cider, a pungent, warming tonic made by steeping garlic, onions, ginger, horseradish, and hot peppers in apple cider vinegar. This spicy infusion is often prepared in the autumn, buried in the back of a pantry to steep for a lunar cycle, and unearthed to ward off the chill of the coming frost. It serves as a reminder that the most effective medicine cabinet was often simply the larder. While tonics warm the body from the inside, the herbalist also understands the need to treat the vessel itself from the outside. The skin is not merely a shield, but a permeable boundary that can drink in the healing properties of the earth, provided those properties are delivered in the right medium. This is where the art of the herbal oil begins, a process that captures the volatile oils and medicinal resins of a plant and suspends them in a carrier fat. There are two distinct rhythms to this extraction. The first is the solar infusion, a method that requires the patience of the seasons. Dried herbs, perhaps calendula blossoms or comfrey leaves, are submerged in olive or almond oil and placed on a sun-drenched windowsill. Over the course of a lunar cycle, the gentle warmth of the sun coaxes the medicinal compounds out of the plant matter, turning the oil a deep, vibrant gold or rich green. It is a slow medicine, infused with the energy of light. For those in more immediate need, there is the heat infusion, where herbs and oil are warmed gently over a double boiler, never allowed to fry, but simply held at a temperature that mimics the fever, speeding up the extraction process from weeks to mere hours. Yet oil in its liquid state can be messy and difficult to transport, which led our ancestors to the discovery of the salve. By introducing beeswax to the warm oil, a liquid infusion is transformed into a stable, solid balm. The wax does more than provide structure. It acts as a humectant, locking moisture into the skin and creating a protective barrier against the elements. Watching a salve cool is a lesson in physics and patience, as the golden liquid suddenly turns opaque, settling into a smooth stillness that waits to be touched. Thinking about these smooth, protective textures, I wonder if there is a specific soothing sensation you find most comforting when you are trying to rest. Perhaps it is the cool touch of a lotion, the warmth of a heavy blanket, or simply the feeling of fresh air. Feel free to share that feeling in the comments. Before the refinement of jars and double boilers, however, there was the poultice, the most primal form of external herbal aid. A poultice is simply raw plant matter mashed into a wet paste and applied directly to the skin to reduce inflammation or draw out infection. It acts as a green bandage, cooling the area while the plant juices seep directly into the tissue. The oldest iteration of this is known as the spit poultice, a technique that requires nothing but a leaf and one's own mouth. If a gardener were stung by a bee or scratched by a thorn, they might pluck a leaf of broadleaf plantain, chew it briefly, and place the green mash on the wound. While it sounds crude, it is chemically brilliant. The chewing action not only breaks down the tough cellulose of the cell walls to release the plant's soothing chemistry, but human saliva also contains enzymes that begin to activate the healing compounds before they even touch the skin. It is an immediate biological alchemy that turns a common weed into a potent first aid kit, requiring no tools other than teeth and nature.
The name Melissa comes from the Greek word for honeybee, and the history of this herb is inextricably linked to the hive. Beekeepers once crushed fresh leaves inside new hives to encourage swarms to stay, using the plant's calming chemistry to soothe thousands of buzzing insects just as it soothes a human nervous system. It was a staple in the elixir of youth formulas during the Middle Ages, consumed daily by those who wished to live long, healthy lives, a practice supported by its high antioxidant content, which protects cells from the oxidative rusting of time. Moving from the gentle balm to the sharper, invigorating scent of peppermint, we find a complex botanical history. For peppermint is actually a natural hybrid, a genetic cross between watermint and spearmint that occurred spontaneously in the wild. The primary magic of peppermint lies in menthol, a volatile oil that performs a fascinating trick on the human nervous system by chemically triggering the TRPM8 receptors in our skin and mouth, the exact same receptors that are responsible for sensing cold temperatures. This is why a drop of warm peppermint oil feels paradoxically icy. It is a sensory illusion that distracts pain signals, but deeper inside the body, that same oil acts as a potent relaxant for smooth muscle tissue. Unlike the muscles in your arm, which you move voluntarily, the smooth muscles lining your digestive tract operate on their own rhythm, and when they cramp or spasm, peppermint oil acts as a natural calcium channel blocker to force them to relax, easing a stomachache with purely mechanical efficiency. If peppermint is for the belly, then its woody cousin rosemary is undoubtedly for the brain, standing as the supreme symbol of remembrance in folklore long before science understood why. Its name, rosmarinus, translates beautifully to dew of the sea, referring to its habit of thriving on misty Mediterranean cliffs, absorbing the sulphy air into its needle-like leaves. Modern analysis has vindicated this poetic sentiment, revealing that a compound called 1.8 cineol, found in rosemary oil, can indeed increase the level of acetylcholine in the brain, a neurotransmitter critical for memory and learning, proving that the nose is a direct pathway to the mind's filing cabinet. The act of inhaling this pine-like fragrance does not just trigger a memory, it physically increases blood flow to the brain, sharpening cognitive performance in a way that caffeine attempts to mimic but cannot match in clarity. While the scent of pine stimulates the mind, drawing our awareness upward, the true foundation of herbal medicine often lies buried beneath the soil, where energy moves in the opposite direction, anchoring us firmly to the earth. It is in the tangled darkness underground that we find the most potent remedies for a racing mind, beginning with the heavy, intricate root of valerian plant. Unlike the crisp, refreshing aroma of pine, valerian root possesses a scent that is famously pungent, often compared to damp earth or even dirty socks, a distinctive odor that intensifies as the root dries. Despite this challenging fragrance, or perhaps because of it, valerian has been revered for centuries as nature's premier sedative, earning the nickname herbal Valium long before modern pharmaceuticals existed. The root contains volatile oils and compounds like valerianic acid, which interact directly with the brain's GABA receptors, the same chemical switches that help regulate nerve impulses and calm anxiety. What is fascinating is that while this earthy scent tends to sedate humans, helping us drift into a heavy, restorative slumber, it has the exact opposite effect on cats, who find the scent of valerian root even more intoxicating and stimulating than catnip. Shifting from the damp woodlands of Europe to the dry, arid regions of India, we uncover another root that masters the art of grounding, known as ashwagandha. The name itself offers a vivid sensory clue to its nature, translating from Sanskrit to mean smell of the horse, a reference not only to its unique musky aroma, but to the belief that consuming it imparts the strength and virility of a stallion. While valerian is a heavy sedative, ashwagandha acts as an adaptogen, a unique class of herbs that function like a thermostat for the body's stress response, specifically targeting the production of cortisol. When you feel wired but tired, a state where the body is exhausted but the mind refuses to shut down, ashwagandha works to lower those cortisol spikes, providing a sense of stability that feels like planting your feet on solid ground during a storm. This quality of grounding is not just a poetic metaphor, but a physiological response, as the root helps the body conserve energy rather than expending it on frantic low-level anxiety. It invites a question for those of us navigating the modern world. When was the last time you felt truly grounded, your energy settled and calm, rather than scattered by the winds of the day? Moving from the medicine cabinet to the kitchen, we find the warming power of rhizomes, the subterranean stems that grow horizontally through the soil, most notably ginger and turmeric. Ginger is a master of heat, containing gingerol, a bioactive compound that mimics the sensation of warmth, effectively stoking the digestive fire to process food more efficiently and settling the stomach with a reliability that has made it a staple for sailors fighting seasickness for millennia. Its golden cousin, turmeric, carries a deep orange pigment called curcumin, a compound so vibrant it stains anything it touches, acting as a visual signature of its potency.
Curcumin is perhaps the most researched anti-inflammatory compound in the plant kingdom, acting to cool the internal heat of inflammation, much like water douses a fire. Yet it requires a partner to unlock its full potential. We now know that adding just a pinch of black pepper increases the absorption of curcumin by 2,000%, a perfect example of botanical synergy where one plant holds the key to unlocking another. There is a profound logic in using these roots to treat the human body, a principle known as the doctrine of signatures, which suggests that the part of the plant we use dictates where it helps us. Flowers treat the head and spirit, leaves treat the breath and lungs, but roots, which hold the plant steady against the elements, are used to treat deep-seated chronic issues, the so-called root causes of our ailments. By consuming these roots, we are essentially borrowing the plant's own stability, absorbing its ability to remain anchored, nourished, and calm, even when the world above the surface is in chaos. While the roots anchor us to the heavy, stable endurance of the earth, the flowers invite us to turn our faces toward the sun, offering a different kind of medicine that feels lighter, airier, and more ethereal. Among these blossoms, we find the gentle nervines, a special class of herbs that specifically nourish, soothe, and rehabilitate the nervous system. Perhaps the most famous of these is the humble chamomile, a plant often referred to by herbalists as the gentle giant of the garden. Despite its delicate appearance, with tiny white petals surrounding a yellow cone, chamomile possesses a profound strength, primarily in its ability to calm the enteric nervous system, which governs our digestion. The plant's name is derived from the Greek chamai melon, translating to ground apple, a nod to the sweet apple-like fragrance released when you walk upon its low-growing leaves. There is a fascinating chemical transformation that occurs within this plant. The raw flowers contain a compound called matricin, which is colorless, but when the plant is distilled by heat to create an essential oil, it transforms into chamazoline, turning the oil a brilliant, deep ink blue. This blue hue indicates its potent cooling and anti-inflammatory properties, useful for cooling both a hot temper and an inflamed stomach. It is one of the few sedatives gentle enough for children and the elderly, famously immortalized in the tale of Peter Rabbit, who was put to bed with a dose of chamomile tea to settle his fright, a literary nod to its long-standing reputation as a lullaby in a cup. Moving from the soothing of the internal nerves to the healing of the external boundary, we encounter calendula, often known as pot marigold. This bright, resinous flower is a master of the sun, opening its petals when the light hits them and closing them tight as twilight falls, acting as a botanical clock in the garden.
If you were to rub the green base of a fresh calendula flower, your fingers would become coated in a sticky aromatic resin, and it is in this stickiness that the medicine lies. Calendula is a premier vulnerary, a specific medical term for a substance that promotes the healing of wounds. It has a unique affinity for the lymphatic system and the skin, encouraging the body to knit itself back together. Unlike the ornamental marigolds found in bedding displays, which belong to the Tagetes genus, the medicinal Calendula officinalis is edible and has been used for centuries to add a saffron-like color to soups and broths, blending nutrition with a gentle lifting of the spirits during the darker winter months. For those whose minds run in circles, unable to find the off switch when the head hits the pillow, nature offers the intricate geometry of the passion flower. The structure of this flower is so complex and unusual that when Spanish missionaries first encountered it in the Americas, they saw in its radial filaments and 3 stigmas the symbolism of the Passion of the Christ, which is how the plant earned its name. Physiologically, passion flower is a hypnotic nervine, meaning it helps induce sleep not by knocking you out, but by quieting the chatter of the mind. Studies suggest it works by increasing the levels of gamma-aminobutyric acid, or GABA, in the brain, a chemical messenger that helps lower the activity of some brain cells, effectively turning down the volume on anxiety and allowing the body to drift into a restorative state. Finally, we come to the rose, a flower so deeply embedded in human culture that its medicinal value is often overshadowed by its beauty. In the world of herbalism, the rose is a cooling astringent, meaning it tightens and tones tissues that have become lax or inflamed. The petals, when brewed, offer a distinct medicine for the emotional heart, often used in mixtures designed to alleviate grief and sadness. It is said that while thorns protect the plant's boundaries, the open blossom encourages an opening of the spirit. Have you ever noticed how a specific flower scent, like rose or lavender, can instantly unlock a vivid memory from years ago? This connection between scent and emotion is part of the flower's power. Even after the petals fall, the rose continues to give, producing bright red hips that are one of nature's most concentrated sources of vitamin C, traditionally harvested after the first frost has sweetened them, ensuring that the plant provides nourishment even in the depths of winter. This ability to thrive in harsh conditions serves as a perfect bridge to a unique category of plants known as adaptogens, which are revered not for their ability to cure a specific disease, but for their capacity to help the human body resist the damaging effects of stress. The concept of the adaptogen is a relatively modern distinction in the scientific world, coined in the mid-20th century to describe substances that increase the body's non-specific resistance to a wide variety of stressors, whether they are physical, chemical, or biological. However, while the name is new, the use of these plants is as old as herbalism itself. Imagine the body as a finely tuned instrument that can easily go out of tune when exposed to the noise and pressure of daily life. Adaptogens act as the tuner, gently adjusting the tension to bring the system back into harmony. They function somewhat like a thermostat. If the body is overheating with anxiety and stimulation, an adaptogen works to cool and calm the nervous system. Conversely, if the body is sluggish, cold, and fatigued, the same herb can help to stoke the internal fire and raise energy levels. This bidirectional capability is what makes them so fascinating to researchers and herbalists alike. They do not force the body into a state, they support the body's own attempt to reach homeostasis, that elusive state of perfect physiological balance. As its name suggests, this plant is a creature of the cold, thriving in the high altitudes and sandy soils of Arctic regions in Europe and Asia. It is a small, hardy succulent with yellow flowers, but its power lies underground in a rhizome that, when cut, releases a fragrance remarkably similar to roses. History whispers that the Vikings, those legendary seafarers of the north, relied on wild rhodiola to enhance their physical strength and endurance.
Before embarking on long, grueling voyages across icy seas or engaging in battle, they would consume the root to fortify their spirits against the elements. It was the fuel of resilience for a people who lived in one of the most unforgiving environments on Earth. Thousands of miles away in the towering peaks of the Himalayas, the Sherpa people have traditionally utilized rhodiola for similar reasons. At such dizzying heights where the air is thin and oxygen is scarce, the human body undergoes immense physiological strain. Rhodiola has been used for generations to help climbers and local populations adapt to the altitude, improving oxygen absorption and preventing fatigue. It is a beautiful example of nature providing the remedy close to the source of the challenge. In the places where life is hardest, the plants often grow the strongest. While rhodiola reigns over the cold mountains, another powerful adaptogen rules the warm, sacred gardens of India. We return to the family of basils to examine holy basil, known as tulsi. Its primary role in the realm of stress management revolves around the regulation of cortisol. Cortisol is the hormone our bodies release in response to the fight or flight signal. In the modern world, where we are rarely running from tigers but frequently worrying about deadlines, our cortisol levels can remain chronically high, leading to burnout and inflammation. Tulsi acts as a gentle balm for this overactive system. It helps to metabolize and clear excess cortisol, effectively signaling to the body that the danger has passed and it is safe to relax. Drinking a tea made from tulsi leaves is a daily ritual for millions, a moment of calm that resets the nervous system. What truly distinguishes these adaptogens from many other herbal remedies is the philosophy of time associated with them. In modern pharmaceutical medicine, we are often accustomed to the silver bullet approach, taking a pill to immediately stop a headache or suppress a symptom within minutes. Adaptogens, however, function differently. They are rarely effective when taken once for an acute, sudden issue. Instead, they are classified as tonics, meant to be consumed consistently over weeks or months. They work by slowly building up the body's reserves of adaptive energy. It is a cumulative process, much like training a muscle at the gym. You do not become strong after lifting a weight a single time. You become strong by lifting it every day. In the same way, adaptogens train the nervous system to handle the weight of the world with greater ease, proving that the most profound changes often happen slowly, quietly, and from the inside out. While we often find these remedies sitting side by side in glass jars on an apothecary shelf, fungi belong to a kingdom entirely their own, distinct from the vegetable world in ways that are quite startling when examined closely. It is a fascinating biological truth that mushrooms are actually more closely related to humans than they are to plants. Unlike the leafy herbs that breathe in carbon dioxide and exhale oxygen, fungi breathe in oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide, just as we do.
Their cellular walls are built not of cellulose, but of chitin, the very same material that makes up the shells of insects and crustaceans, suggesting a shared evolutionary ancestry that diverged millions of years ago, leaving them as the silent, grounded cousins of the animal kingdom. Among these forest dwellers, few hold a reputation as illustrious as reishi, known scientifically as Ganoderma lucidum. In the ancient texts of Eastern medicine, it was revered as the mushroom of immortality, a title suggesting its profound role in longevity and vitality. If you were to find one growing on a decaying hemlock log, you would notice its striking appearance. It does not look soft or edible in the culinary sense, but rather like a piece of varnished reddish-brown wood, shiny and kidney-shaped, as if carved by a master sculptor. Reishi is celebrated not for providing a sudden burst of energy, but for its ability to nourish the shen, or spirit, acting as a grounding anchor for the mind. It calms the nervous system and modulates the immune response, teaching the body to be vigilant without being overactive, a chemical wisdom that helps one sleep soundly by quieting the noise of the waking mind. Deep in the temperate forests, usually high up on the trunks of hardwood trees, grows another marvel known as lion's mane. Its appearance is undeniable and otherworldly, resembling a cascading waterfall of white, shaggy spines rather than a traditional cap and stem. While it has a delicate seafood-like flavor when cooked, its medicinal fame lies in its affinity for the brain. Compounds within this shaggy mushroom, specifically hericenones and erinacines, have been found to stimulate the production of nerve growth factor. This is a protein essential for the maintenance and regeneration of neurons, meaning that lion's mane effectively encourages the brain to repair its own wiring. It has been used for centuries by Buddhist monks to enhance focus during long periods of meditation, providing a clarity that is calm rather than jittery. Yet the mushrooms we see sprouting from the earth or clinging to trees are merely the fruit of a much larger, invisible creature. Beneath the soil lies the mycelium, a vast, intricate web of white thread-like filaments that can stretch for miles within a single patch of forest. This underground network is often called the Wood Wide Web, a natural internet that connects the roots of trees and plants across the forest floor. Through this fungal architecture, trees can actually communicate with one another, sharing nutrients, water, and even warning signals about pests. It is a symbiotic relationship where the fungi provide the plants with hard-to-reach minerals from the soil, and in return, the plants feed the fungi with sugars produced from sunlight. This reminds us that in the world of natural remedies, nothing truly acts alone. Health is a matter of connection, a silent conversation between the soil, the roots, and the cells of our own bodies. From this silent conversation in the soil, the nutrients migrate upward, solidifying into the mighty trunks that stand as the pillars of the forest. It is here, within the rough, protective skins of trees, that we find some of humanity's oldest and most potent remedies. Consider the white willow, a tree that often grows along riverbanks, its roots drinking deep from the flowing water. For thousands of years, long before the invention of the pill bottle, healers across Europe and China stripped the bark from this tree to treat pain and inflammation. The secret lies in a compound called salicin, which the human body naturally converts into salicylic acid. This is the botanical ancestor of aspirin, offering a glimpse into how modern pharmacology is often just mimicking of the chemistry that nature perfected eons ago. While the willow offers relief through bitterness, other barks bring healing through warmth. There is perhaps no scent more comforting than that of cinnamon, which is actually the inner bark of a tropical evergreen tree. When harvested, this bark naturally curls into the familiar quills we see in spice jars. Beyond its role in our favorite desserts, cinnamon has a rich medical history, once valued so highly that wars were fought to control its trade routes. Biologically, it acts as a gentle metabolic support, helping to moderate blood sugar levels and warming the body's circulation from the inside out. It is a remedy that reminds us that medicine can be delicious, bridging the gap between food and healing. Moving from the tropics to the crisp air of the northern forests, we encounter the pine and the spruce. These evergreen sentinels are not just sources of timber, they are standing reservoirs of vitality. It is a little-known fact that the needles of the common pine tree contain significantly more vitamin C by weight than a fresh lemon. In the depths of winter, when fresh fruit was scarce, indigenous peoples brewed teas from these needles to prevent scurvy and boost immunity. But the wisdom of the pine also resides in its sticky amber resin. This pitch, which the tree produces to heal its own wounds, is a powerful antiseptic. When distilled into essential oils or used in steam, the essence of pine and spruce acts as a respiratory opener, clearing the lungs and inviting the clean, sharp breath of the forest into our bodies. Finally, we find a remedy that offers neither the sharpness of pine nor the heat of cinnamon, but rather a profound softness. The slippery elm tree, native to North America, provides an inner bark that is rich in mucilage.
When this fibrous bark is mixed with water, it becomes a smooth, gel-like substance that possesses an incredible ability to coat and soothe. It acts as a protective bandage for the internal membranes of the throat and digestive tract.
In a world that is often abrasive, slippery elm offers a lesson in the power of gentleness, calming irritation not by fighting it, but by covering it with a layer of restorative peace. From the gentle, soothing inner bark of the elm, we move outward to the branches, where protection manifests in small, jewel-like spheres. The world of herbalism often turns to berries, not just for sustenance, but for deep systemic defense, and few are as renowned in the winter months as the elderberry. These small, dark purple fruits, growing in heavy clusters on the sambucus tree, are rich in compounds called anthocyanins, which give them their distinctive, almost black coloring. This pigment is more than just a visual display. It serves as a powerful antioxidant, protecting the plant from solar radiation and offering similar protective benefits to those who consume it. For generations, elderberry syrup has been a staple in pantries during the colder seasons, revered as a traditional remedy for influenza and common colds. Modern science suggests that the flavonoids within these berries may actually bind to viruses, preventing them from entering host cells and replicating, effectively shortening the duration of illness. It is a berry of resilience, transforming the sunlight of summer into a reserve of immunity for the dark of winter. However, the elderberry demands respect. The raw berries contain mild toxins and must be cooked down, a process that usually involves simmering them with spices like cinnamon and cloves, filling the kitchen with a warm medicinal aroma that feels healing in itself. While the elderberry guards the immune system, the bright red hawthorn berry stands as the guardian of the heart. In the hedgerows of Europe and North America, the hawthorn tree, with its sharp thorns and delicate flowers, produces a fruit that has been associated with cardiac health for nearly 2,000 years. Herbalists view hawthorn as a tropho-restorative for the heart, meaning it nourishes and restores the function of the organ over time rather than forcing an immediate change. It is said to improve the integrity of blood vessel walls and enhance blood flow to the heart muscle itself, allowing the pump of life to work with greater efficiency and less strain. But the lore of hawthorn extends beyond physical circulation. In the nuanced language of plant medicine, it is often prescribed for the emotional heart as well. It is considered the supreme herb for a broken heart, used to soothe grief and emotional agitation, acting as a gentle hug for the spirit. It teaches the lesson that true strength comes from an open and nourished center, protected by boundaries represented by the tree's thorns, yet capable of softness. Traveling deeper into the philosophy of holistic balance, we encountered the schisandra berry, a vine native to the forests of northern China and the Russian Far East. This name is not poetic hyperbole. The berry possesses all 5 classical tastes detected by the human tongue: sour, bitter, sweet, pungent, and salty. This complexity is incredibly rare in nature, and in the logic of traditional medicine, it means that schisandra can access and influence all 5 yin organs: the liver, kidneys, heart, lungs, and spleen. Schisandra acts as a premier adaptogen, a substance that helps the human body adapt to stress and maintain equilibrium. Instead of stimulating energy like caffeine, it preserves it, preventing the leakage of vitality. It calms the spirit while sharpening the mind, a dual action that makes it a favorite for those seeking focus without jitters. The experience of tasting such a complex fruit reminds us of the intricate relationship between flavor and healing. I am curious, as you wind down for the night, do you have a favorite warm beverage or a specific taste, perhaps something soothing like chamomile, hot cocoa, or a spiced herbal tea that signals to your body it is time to sleep? I would love to hear what flavors bring you comfort in the comments. The schisandra berry encapsulates the complexity of life, blending the sour with the sweet, teaching the body to find stability amidst the fluctuating demands of the day, proving that true power often lies in the ability to balance opposing forces. This philosophy of balance extends seamlessly into the heart of the home, where the line between a chef's pantry and an apothecary's cabinet dissolves completely. If you were to open the cupboard just above your stove, you would likely find a collection of glass jars filled with dried seeds, barks, and leaves that we casually call spices, yet each one holds a potent biological key. It invites a quiet sense of wonder to realize that the difference between food and medicine is often merely a matter of dosage and intent. Consider the humble black pepper, a staple found on nearly every dining table in the world. We often grind it over our meals without a second thought, viewing it merely as a way to add a bit of heat or zest. But in the realm of herbal synergy, black pepper acts as a master key that unlocks the potential of other botanical compounds.
The name itself, belladonna, is Italian for beautiful lady, a reference to a risky cosmetic practice during the Renaissance. Women would distill the plant's juices into eye drops, dilating their pupils to create a dreamy, doe-eyed look that was considered the height of fashion. They were quite literally poisoning their eyes for beauty, often suffering from blurred vision, rapid heartbeats, and sometimes permanent blindness as a price for their vanity. The genus name, Atropa, is even more ominous, derived from Atropos, the eldest of the three fates in Greek mythology, the sister responsible for cutting the thread of life. This reputation was well earned, as history is littered with accounts of accidental ingestions. Its berries, unlike most poisons, are deceptively sweet and look like dark cherries, as well as intentional poisonings by those wishing to dispose of political rivals. Yet, in the hands of a master apothecary and later modern doctors, the very alkaloids that cause hallucinations and paralysis became invaluable medicines. Atropine, derived from the plant, is still used today in operating theaters to regulate heart rate during surgery and as an antidote for nerve gas poisoning, once again proving that nature does not deal in simple binaries of good and evil, but rather in complex potentials waiting to be unlocked. This high-stakes gamble with toxic botanicals eventually led to a divergence in how we view herbalism today. While modern pharmacology extracted the potent chemicals from these dangerous plants to create standardized drugs where the dosage could be controlled to the microgram, the practice of home herbalism wisely retreated to the safety of gentle herbs. Contemporary herbalists tend to focus on plants that act as tonics and balms: chamomile, lemon balm, elderberry, and mint, plants that are forgiving and nurturing. We have learned to respect the heavy hitters of the plant kingdom by leaving them to the chemists, finding our healing instead in the soft, slow, and safe accumulation of benefits from the gentle greens that ask nothing more of us than to steep them in hot water and breathe in their steam. Yet, beyond the quiet borders of the local garden, the history of plant medicine stretches out to encompass the entire globe, driven by a hunger for flavors that were once worth more than their weight in gold. It is fascinating to realize that the detailed maps of our modern world were not drawn by tourists or mere adventurers, but were sketched by sailors desperately seeking a direct route to the fabled Spice Islands. For centuries, the warm, aromatic treasures of nutmeg and cloves grew only on the tiny volcanic soil of the Moluccas in Indonesia, a secret location that sparked the age of exploration. When you sprinkle nutmeg into a warm drink before bed, you are tasting the very commodity that caused empires to rise and fall, a seed so potent that Manhattan was once traded between the Dutch and the English just to secure a small island where it grew. This global chase for botanical treasures brings us to the most delicate and expensive substance in the spice cabinet, a flower that has remained the crown jewel of herbal trade for millennia: saffron. It is a humbling thought that to produce just 1 pound of this crimson spice, laborers must hand-pick the stigmas of over 70,000 crocus flowers. Each purple bloom produces only 3 fragile red threads, and they must be harvested at dawn before the heat of the sun wilts them. This incredible labor intensity is why saffron remains a symbol of luxury, known as red gold, valued not just for its earthy, hay-like flavor, but for its historical use in lifting the spirits and soothing melancholy. While we now cherish these spices for the warmth they bring to a meal, in the medieval world they served a far more urgent, practical purpose. Before the advent of refrigeration, the preservation of food was a constant battle against time and nature. There is a long-standing belief that heavy spices were used primarily to mask the taste of spoiling meat, acting as a culinary disguise for food that had gone slightly wrong. While there is truth to the idea that they improved the palatability of salted and dried provisions, the wisdom of the ancients went deeper. They understood, perhaps through observation rather than microbiology, that spices like cloves, cinnamon, and cumin possessed powerful properties that could actually slow the growth of bacteria, acting as a deliciously fragrant shield against illness. Imagine for a moment walking through a medieval spice market, perhaps in a bustling trading hub like Venice or London. The air would be thick with a dizzying, exotic perfume that signaled wealth and health in equal measure. These markets were often organized by the Guild of Pepperers, the precursors to modern pharmacists who treated spices as serious medicine. In these narrow, stone-paved streets, sacks of peppercorns and barrels of ginger were not just ingredients for a feast, they were the pharmacopoeia of the day. A simple walk through the market was considered a therapeutic act, as physicians believed that simply inhaling the heavy, spicy air could purify the lungs and ward off the pestilence that lurked in the damp corners of the city. From those fragrant, spice-laden streets, a more rigorous curiosity eventually emerged, marking the transition from mystical herbalism to the precise science of modern pharmacology.
It was in the early 19th century that a young German apprentice named Friedrich Serturner changed the world by asking what exactly lived inside the opium poppy. He managed to isolate the specific alkaloid responsible for the plant's sedative effects, a white crystalline substance he named morphine, after Morpheus, the Greek god of dreams. This was a watershed moment, representing the first time a potent active ingredient was successfully separated from its botanical source, allowing physicians to administer exact dosages rather than relying on the variable potency of raw plant extracts. Following this breakthrough, the race was on to unlock the chemical secrets hidden within nature's vast library. Consider the willow tree, whose bark had been chewed for millennia to reduce fever and pain. By the late 19th century, chemists at Bayer had modified its active compound, salicylic acid, into acetyl salicylic acid, creating aspirin, a pill that remains the most widely used drug in human history. Yet the journey from plant to pill is rarely straightforward, often requiring us to look in the most unexpected places. In the old-growth forests of the Pacific Northwest stands the Pacific yew tree, a slow-growing conifer once disregarded as a weed by loggers. It was discovered that the bark of this unassuming tree contained paclitaxel, a complex molecule that acts as a potent inhibitor of cell division, becoming the basis for Taxol, one of the most effective chemotherapy drugs ever found. However, as we became masters of isolation, separating single molecules from their green origins, we began to notice a phenomenon often called the entourage effect. This refers to the synergistic relationship between the hundreds of compounds existing simultaneously in a whole plant. When you consume a medicinal tea, you are not just ingesting a single active chemical, but also a host of flavonoids, terpenes, and buffering agents that nature seemingly designed to work in concert. Some of these secondary compounds may help the body absorb the primary medicine, while others might mitigate potential side effects, a delicate balancing act that a synthesized, isolated pill sometimes lacks. This profound connection between ancient wisdom and modern Nobel Prize-winning science is perhaps best illustrated by the story of Tu Youyou. Tasked with finding a cure for malaria when standard treatments were failing, she turned not to test tubes, but to a dusty manuscript from the 4th century titled The Handbook of Prescriptions for Emergencies. The text instructed her to steep sweet wormwood, or Artemisia annua, in cold water rather than boiling it. She realized that modern extraction methods using heat were destroying the delicate active ingredient, artemisian. By following the advice of an ancestor who lived 1,600 years ago, she unlocked a therapy that has since saved millions of lives across the globe. As we look to the future, the search for new herbal remedies has pushed scientists out of the garden and into the most remote corners of the planet.
There is a great silent hunt currently underway in the rainforests, where researchers believe that less than 5% of Amazonian plants have been studied for their medicinal potential. Even more intriguing is the descent into the ocean, a realm previously untouched by herbalists. We are now finding that marine sponges, algae, and soft corals produce unique chemical defenses against aquatic bacteria, compounds that are showing immense promise as the next generation of antibiotics. It is a humbling realization that the cures for our most modern ailments may be waiting for us in the moss of a deep forest or the sway of a kelp forest, just waiting for us to learn how to read them. Have you ever stood near the ocean or deep in the woods and felt a sudden, inexplicable sense of clarity or ease wash over you? That feeling of connection is often where the true efficacy of herbalism begins, blurring the lines between the chemical properties of a plant and the powerful psychology of the ritual itself. There is a distinct, measurable difference between swallowing a capsule in a rush while running out the door and the slow, deliberate process of preparing a loose-leaf tea or a poultice. The act of measuring the dried leaves, listening to the kettle rise to a boil, and watching the water darken as it extracts the essence of the plant requires patience, forcing you to slow down and synchronize with a rhythm much slower than the frantic pace of the outside world. This pause acts as a biological signal to your parasympathetic nervous system, shifting your body into the rest and digest mode, lowering cortisol levels, and preparing your physiology to receive the remedy, essentially opening the door for healing before the herb even enters your system. This brings us to the often misunderstood concept of the placebo effect, which rather than being a trick or a sign that a remedy is ineffective, is actually a demonstration of the body's profound ability to self-repair when given the right cues. Scientists increasingly refer to this as the meaning response, suggesting that if you trust in the soothing nature of a chamomile flower or the protective strength of an elderberry, your brain begins to release its own cascade of pain-relieving endorphins and calming neurotransmitters that work in harmony with the plant's active compounds.
Instead of viewing the placebo effect as a nuisance variable to be eliminated, holistic traditions embrace it as a valid partner in the cure, acknowledging that the mind's expectation of relief is a potent medicine in its own right. The ritual becomes a container for this belief, transforming a simple daily task into a meditative practice of self-care. Consider the sensory engagement involved in using a fragrant salve. The act of rubbing a balm into your own skin is a form of self-massage, which stimulates the release of oxytocin, the hormone associated with safety, bonding, and comfort. Furthermore, the sensory experience of herbalism serves as a powerful grounding technique. The warmth of a ceramic mug in your hands does more than heat your skin. Psychological research indicates that physical warmth can induce feelings of interpersonal warmth and trust, reducing feelings of isolation. The scent of the herbs travels instantly to the olfactory bulb, which sits right next to the limbic system, the brain's emotional center, meaning that the smell of lavender or lemon balm can physically lower your blood pressure and heart rate before you even have a conscious thought about relaxing. These sensory inputs anchor you firmly in the present moment, pulling your attention away from abstract worries about the future and back into the physical reality of your body. Thus, the cup of tea becomes more than just a delivery system for flavonoids and antioxidants. It becomes a vessel for quiet contemplation, a tangible declaration of self-worth, and a momentary sanctuary where the noise of the world falls away. Just as the warmth of the cup settles the body, the rising steam engages a sense that is arguably our most primal connection to the natural world. This aromatic vapor travels a unique anatomical pathway that distinguishes smell from every other human sense. While sight, sound, and touch must pass through the thalamus, the brain's central relay station, before being processed, scent molecules bypass this filter entirely. They drift upward into the nasal cavity, dissolve into the mucus lining, and bind directly to the olfactory bulb, which sits intimately close to the limbic system.
This area of the brain, comprising the amygdala and the hippocampus, is the ancient seat of emotion and memory, which explains why a sudden whiff of a specific herb can instantly trigger a vivid childhood memory or a profound emotional shift before your conscious mind even registers what you were swelling. This biological shortcut is the foundation of aromatherapy, where the volatile oils of plants are used not merely as pleasant perfumes, but as keys to unlock specific physiological states. Consider the sharp, camphorous profile of eucalyptus, a genus dominated by the towering gum trees of Australia. The primary active compound in its oil is 1,8-cineol, commonly known as eucalyptol. When inhaled, this molecule acts as a powerful vasodilator for the respiratory system, physically relaxing the smooth muscles of the airways and allowing oxygen to flood the system with greater ease. Beyond the physical sensation of opening the lungs, the scent of eucalyptus has been shown to pierce through mental fog, stimulating blood flow to the brain and acting as a solvent for lethargy, effectively waking up the mind without the jittery side effects of caffeine. On the opposite end of the energetic spectrum lies the soft, floral complexity of lavender, specifically Lavandula angustifolia. This herb has been subjected to rigorous scrutiny in clinical settings far removed from the spa, including dental waiting rooms and hospital preoperative areas. Studies have consistently found that the ambient scent of lavender significantly reduces patient anxiety and lowers perception of pain. The magic lies largely in two compounds, linalool and linalyl acetate, which are rapidly absorbed into the bloodstream via the lungs. Once there, they exert a sedative influence that mimics the effects of certain anti-anxiety medications, effectively telling the central nervous system that it is safe to power down. This physiological permission to rest is crucial in our modern environment, where artificial lights and constant stimulation often keep our internal alarms ringing long after sunset. It raises an interesting point about our own nightly rituals and the signals we send to our bodies. As we consider the profound ability of simple plant compounds to guide us into slumber, I would love to hear about your own relationship with sleep hygiene. Do you have a specific routine, a favorite herbal tea, or perhaps a particular scent like lavender or cedarwood that signals to your mind that the day is done? Understanding these botanical tools transforms the way we view the air around us, revealing that the atmosphere itself can be medicated with nothing more than the crushed leaves of a garden shrub. This invisible interaction between plant volatiles and human biology suggests that we are not separate from the flora that surrounds us, but rather constantly in a chemical dialogue with it, reacting to the silent, scented messages that float on the breeze. However, this chemical conversation is becoming harder to hear in certain corners of the wild, as the very popularity of these natural remedies places a heavy burden on the ecosystems that produce them. As we seek to heal ourselves, we inadvertently pressure the populations of slow-growing woodland plants, leading to a silence where there was once biological abundance. A prime example of this fragility is golden seal, a plant revered for its bright yellow, knotty rootstock and its potent antimicrobial properties.
Golden seal is a denizen of the deep, shady hardwood forests of eastern North America, where it requires specialized soil and several years to reach maturity. Because the medicinal value lies in the root, harvesting it traditionally means ending the life of the plant, and with global demand soaring, wild populations have been decimated, unable to reproduce fast enough to replace what is taken. A similar story unfolds in the arid coastal scrub of California with white sage, a plant held sacred by indigenous communities for centuries. The silver-green leaves, which carry a distinct resinous camphor scent, have become a commodity for cleansing rituals worldwide, leading to widespread poaching and habitat destruction. This reality has given rise to the concept of at-risk botanicals, a classification that invites us to practice the gentle art of ethical substitution. This approach suggests that for every rare or endangered plant, there is often a common, resilient cousin that can offer similar healing benefits without the ecological cost. Instead of the fragile golden seal, an herbalist might look to the Oregon grape, a robust shrub that contains the same active compound, berberine, but grows vigorously and can be harvested more sustainably.
This shift in perspective encourages us to look toward the weeds, the plants that follow human footsteps with tenacious vitality. There is a profound sustainability in embracing herbs like the stinging nettle, which thrives in nitrogen-rich soil and forms dense, nourishing thickets. Nettle is packed with iron and minerals, and unlike delicate forest herbs, it responds to harvesting by growing back even bushier, creating a cycle where human use actually invigorates the plant population. The dandelion, too, offers a lesson in abundance. Often dismissed as a nuisance, it is a master of survival, sending its taproot deep into the earth to pull up nutrients, offering support for the liver and digestion, while blooming with a cheerful, unstoppable persistence. The stewardship of these green allies extends beyond the harvest and into the future through the quiet, revolutionary act of seed saving. By collecting seeds from medicinal plants, waiting for the flower to fade and the pod to dry, gardeners preserve the genetic diversity that allows these species to adapt to changing climates. A saved seed is a living capsule of history and potential, a tiny vessel containing the instructions for the next generation of healing, ensuring that the dialogue between human biology and the botanical world remains an unbroken, everlasting story. As we gaze forward, this unbroken story merges with the clean lines of modern science, creating a fascinating marriage between the shaman's intuition and the clinician's data. We are entering an era where the future of herbalism is not about discarding tradition, but decoding it through rigorous clinical trials. This approach is often called reverse pharmacology. Instead of synthesizing a new chemical from scratch in a lab, researchers are taking distinct formulations that have worked for centuries and working backward to understand the molecular mechanisms at play. This validates the wisdom of the past, transforming ancient folklore into verified fact and explaining exactly how a root used in traditional Chinese medicine creates a measurable anti-inflammatory response in the body. With this deeper understanding comes the rise of a specialized field known as phytovigilance. This is the dedicated science of monitoring the safety of herbal products, acknowledging that plants are complex chemical factories. It moves us past the simplistic idea that natural always equals harmless, and instead treats botanical substances with the respect their potency deserves. Phytovigilance tracks how herbs interact with modern pharmaceuticals, ensuring that a soothing tea does not clash with a prescription medication, creating a safety net that allows us to integrate the best of both worlds with absolute confidence. The application of these remedies is becoming as unique as our fingerprints. We are on the cusp of personalized herbal medicine, driven by our growing understanding of genetics. Just as our DNA determines our eye color, it also dictates how our liver enzymes metabolize phytochemicals. In the near future, a simple genetic profile could reveal that your body absorbs curcumin exceptionally well, or that you require a specific subspecies of valerian root to effectively aid your sleep. This moves herbalism away from a one-size-fits-all approach and toward a tailored dialogue between your specific biology and the plant kingdom. Even the soil itself is being reimagined through the innovation of vertical farming. To protect wild populations from overharvesting, medicinal plants are beginning to be grown in controlled indoor environments. In these futuristic vertical gardens, specific light spectrums can be used to influence the plant's chemistry. By adjusting the color and intensity of light, growers can actually encourage a plant to produce higher concentrations of therapeutic essential oils or antioxidants. This ensures a pure, potent supply of medicine that is free from environmental pollutants, securing the future of these remedies regardless of changing weather patterns or seasons. This dedication to preservation reveals that the history of herbal remedies is not merely a timeline of medical discovery, but a continuous, quiet conversation between humanity and the earth. We have traveled a long path together, moving from the first tentative roots pulled from the ancient soil by intuitive healers to the sophisticated understanding of phytochemistry we possess today. Yet, despite the complexity of modern science, the core relationship remains beautifully simple. The plants exhale what we inhale, and they synthesize the very compounds our bodies need to find balance, acting as silent partners in our survival.
It is almost as if a garden exists within us, waiting to be awakened. The molecules of the willow bark or the peppermint leaf fit into our own biology, like keys finding their ancient locks, proving that we are not strangers to the natural world, but deeply woven into its tapestry. There is a profound comfort in realizing that the same calming lemon balm that might settle your mind tonight also brought peace to those who lived centuries ago. We share a timeless, enduring ritual of seeking comfort in the leaves, flowers, and barks that grow around us. Now, as the day fades, the plants themselves begin their own cycle of rest. The heavy heads of the sunflowers bow low, the vibrant petals of the California poppy fold tight against the cool night air, and the deep roots of the valerian drink slowly from the dark, nourishing earth. The entire green world settles into a rhythm of quiet restoration, breathing slowly under the stars, just as you do now. You can let go of the day's questions and trust in this enduring cycle of growth and slumber. Nature is always at work, even in the stillness. If you have enjoyed this journey through the healing landscape of herbal lore and wish to explore more soothing topics to help you drift off, please invite calm into your routine by subscribing for more sleep stories. May the gentle, grounding wisdom of the garden follow you into your dreams. Good night.